Hey everyone, if you are a parent with a toddler, a baby between 0 and 3, this video is for you. My name is Sharon. I'm a registered psychotherapist for parents, and I'm here to break down some of the complicated things and confusing things out there so that you can feel more confident and more on top of things in the craziness that is happening in your household. So let's get into it. I was working this week with a client and we were talking about the brain development of their toddler who's 2 years old. And I started to describe it in the same way that a house gets built. And their face lit up and they said this was so easy to understand. And so I thought I would share that with you today. So let's get into that. So babies are sensitive to experience. Y'all hear a lot of things online because I know you guys are searching online for help with what's happening at home, with all the crazy that's happening at home. I'm here to help make sense of some of those other things that are out there because I know sometimes you guys listen to some videos or listen to a lecture or read something and there's just too much information happening all at once. And I just want to break down some of the pieces so that you can understand things better. That's my goal in life, is to help you understand things a little bit better. So let's talk a little bit about this idea of babies and toddlers specifically being sensitive to experience, okay? Okay, let's start with this. Babies come into the world with 25% of their brain already developed. 25%, okay, think about that. A quarter of the brain, a quarter of what you and I have as a brain is what the babies have. That makes a lot of sense, right? They can't do much. They can express, right? They can cry, their bodily functions work, and they can move, but not in a controlled way. So that's what 25% of your brain looks like, okay? Makes a whole lot of sense to all of you parents of toddlers who have had babies who started off with the baby. You know exactly what that looks like. Think about what you know and remember about your baby as 25%, 1/4 of the brain. By the time your child is 3 years old, they now have, ready? 80%. 80% of the brain is fully developed. Hold on to that thought because we're going to break that down. 80% is formed by the time they're 3. Think about all that growth in those 3 years. Nowhere else in the rest of a person's brain development does that much brain development happen in that short a period of time, okay? When they're 3, they have 80%. When they're 5, they have 90%. 5 years old, 90% of the brain formed. When they're 25, and some people say 30, I happen to be a 30 subscriber. When they're a full adult at 25, they have 100%. So there's not much that happens in the developmental part between age 5 and 25. 0 to 3, they go from 25 to 80%. Okay, hold on to that. Now, what we mean when we say brain development, this is where I want you to think about a house. So, where I live in Canada, when we build a house, first we need to frame it with 2x4 wood, so we create the frame. Then we have to wire it for electrical, and then we have to plumb it with pipes for plumbing. All of that has to happen before anything else can happen. Those things support everything else that happens. So if the person putting up the wooden 2x4 puts it up crooked, then the drywall, the walls, will be crooked, right? Okay. 50% of the development of the brain is genetic. It's just what you've passed down and what's been passed down biologically by the parents who created that human, and 50% of it is experience. So when we say babies are sensitive to experience, it means experience is creating 50% of how their brain works. Okay? 50% is genetics, it's what they came with, and 50% is about the people and experiences that happen with and for that child. So, the wood and the wires and the plumbing, the pipes, are like the genetics. It's what we have. It's what it exists to build this house. I can't control the wood and the pipes and the wires. It's what I was given. The people who install the wiring and the pipes and the wood are the other 50%. If the people handle the wiring and the plumbing and the wood in a way that's not optimal, then the house will not function well. That is what we mean when we say 80% of the brain gets formed by the time the child is 3. It doesn't mean that they can understand everything. It doesn't mean that they have abstract thinking. It doesn't mean that they will follow all your instructions. Those things aren't online yet. That's like the walls and the windows and the doors. That's later. What we mean is by 3, you've installed 80% of the wiring, the wood framing, and the pipes for plumbing. And you'd better pay attention to how you're doing that, because babies are sensitive to experience. So I'm hoping that this has made sense. I'm curious in the comments if you want to tell me, did this land with you? Do you have questions about it? I'm always open to your feedback, and I look forward to hearing more.